Hi, everyone. Welcome to VCTV, which is the Venture Capital TV from La Token. This is the second session of the day, and we're going to talk about manufacturing, logistics, and supply chain transportation in this panel. So today I have a new speaker and a regular speaker. Myself, Sonny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of La Token. I'm based here in Singapore, and I host these shows every day, Monday to Friday. And now in November, we've just started live streaming twice a day with my co-moderator, Terence. Some of you know him already. Gary knows him already. So yeah, so the whole idea of VCTV is to connect investors with startups and founders because founders are the ones who are looking to raise funds, and this is a platform we offer them to raise funds by connecting with our investor that we have. So today's, as you know, today's topic is about manufacturing. So lots happening in the space. I know, in terms of food, in terms of general logistics, So we just want our viewers and other speakers and audience would like to know what's happening as per you. So I'd like to start with Shrikant, who just joined the Asia panel of VCTV for the first time, and he has a very quick presentation as well for all the viewers. Hi, Shrikant. Welcome to VCTV. And how are you today?
I'm doing great, and I have been there before. So I've been in two panels before. The kind of value addition that VCTV does for the venture capital world, nothing can beat it.
Oh, fantastic for this feedback. And was it the US panel with Kyle?
Yes.
Right, that's why. So you are debuting today, like you are debuting today on the Asia panel because based in Singapore and you're in India, I guess, right?
I'm in India. Yes, my bad. First time, excited to be in the Asia panel.
Welcome, Shrikant. Welcome. Great. Sorry, it's a bit of introduction about yourself for the viewers that we have for this panel, and which company you represent and what do you do in this space?
I am a 13-year experience venture advisor. I deal with five of the Forbes 100 list. I deal with Forbes 100 India list, not the global list. Of course, their net worth is about $1 billion. I am their advisor. I advise them as to where to invest, the emerging trends. I provide feedback in terms of how to invest. And I'm a chartered accountant, chartered management accountant from UK, PhD in finance from US, a lawyer, a father, a routine lover of VCTV, and a propagator for this particular channel.
Oh my God, Shrikant, you are wearing too many hats, but that's what we are all are doing right now. Thank you so much for adding that on, and welcome to VCTV. Gary, welcome back, and yeah,
Hi.
how are things at home?
Everything's good. Everything's great, actually. Amazing times, actually, in a good way. So
Great.
my name's Gary Fowler, and I'm just a country boy, so I don't have all those letters behind my name. I'm a country boy from Pennsylvania, but I've done 16 companies and 2 unicorns. Actually, one of them was in service chain optimization. So Click Software, I was on the original team of an Israeli company that was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion 14 months ago. And so I've been around this space quite a long time, cut some big deals with SAP, et cetera. And what we do is we curate incredible AI companies that want to go global. And we're really agnostic. Obviously, they're transportable AI models that can be used in multiple different vertical markets. I'm particularly interested in supply chain with all the challenges we've had during the pandemic. I mean, its supply chain showed its vulnerability, especially in the food processing side. So we've got a lot of challenges there and a lot of great opportunities for using machine learning and warehouse management, autonomous vehicles for logistics and shipping, et cetera. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to see Sonny every day. And it's great to be part of VCTV.
Fantastic, Gary. Yeah, exactly. We love your company, and we love to have you back on our panels because you have this what to say, that the knowledge that we all need to a little bit, from you. So that's why, we'll love to see you every day on our shows. And thank you so much for being so committed to BCTV as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. So we all set with introductions. Shrikant, and remember, before we went live, you said that you have something to present in the beginning. Quickly for the viewers, is it in right now you're going to present? I mean, basically, I'm going to ask you this question. What are the latest trends in manufacturing? What do you see in terms of investments? And where are these investments flowing into? So are you in charge of India market only, or you oversee the global as well? So if you can start with that, and if you have something to present, please do it. Thank you.
So my image, which I'm going to share with you, is going to take care of the last two questions. So where the investments are coming in, how they're coming in, and where, which market are they coming in. So while addressing the first question that you have,
Right.
changes that are expected, or what's happening in the manufacturing investment space. COVID-19, we used to talk, hotly about COVID-19 about 6 months back. Then about 3 months back, we were still trying to adjust to the new normal, so to speak. Now we are at a point where COVID-19 is just another event which is of course halted the whole global operations, the global businesses, but it's something that we need to live with, right? It's not going away. We're not praying that December 25 there'll be a Christmas miracle and it'll go away. So that is not going to happen. So sorry for the long preludes, but what I'm trying to say over here is manufacturing. It put a permanent change in manufacturing. It put a permanent change on supply chain. It put a permanent change in logistics, primarily on these elements. One was focus on safety, focus on health, focus on safe products being delivered to or being out in the market. So, I'll just take a quick example of a particular biscuit brand, Unilever, which pioneered the small size, bite-sized biscuits.
Yeah.
Used to sell for about 10 cents, and they're pioneers in that particular market. 10 cents, you get a biscuit. Now the question arises in terms of how are you going? The question in 2019 was, how healthy are the biscuits going to be for someone who is trying to watch his weight? Now the question is, how healthy is the biscuit going to be for someone who's trying to see if it's going to affect his immunity, if it's going to affect his health in a different way. I think the pivot has happened in all industries in terms of perspective. While the primary perspective may stay the same, the pivot has happened. Now, without taking much time, where the manufacturing industry is actually changing, the manufacturing is changing in R&D, it's changing in the process, it's changing in the delivery, it's changing in the way they function. It's not changing much on the finance side, but it's changing entirely on the operations side. So this requires investment. And this cannot happen without a capital infusion, which is why manufacturing is one of the sectors which requires large pumping of investment. Because if you are to change the way a particular product is manufactured, it requires a large, it's not a pivot, it's a completely change of scenario which happens. So are the global investors ready for this? I'm not too sure, because you need to really pump in large amounts of money to actually make that particular shift. Can VCs participate in this? Of course they can, on emerging businesses like healthy foods in the way that I mentioned, healthy foods which will boost immunity. So suddenly we are seeing, we're not seeing foods like it'll reduce your weight, it'll manage your keto diet, so on and so forth. Now we are seeing foods which actually boost your immunity.
Right.
The whole paradigm has changed. So that is something where manufacturing is changing. Where I look for investments is globally. So anywhere, any country which incentivizes manufacturing is something that I look.
Right. Great. I mean, good point in terms of the kind of shift in paradigm, the mindset paradigm as well. Like, it's not about losing weight anymore, but staying healthy by building up the immunity system. In terms of, investments, you are global, but are you focused on tech-enabled companies, startups, or like brick and mortar businesses as well? Because manufacturing, is heavily labor-intensive businesses, as well. So, what are your target?
The
Where do you?
beauty of working for a family office or managing the wealth of $1 billion plus, you are struck with a good problem, which is you're agnostic of which industry to
Right. Got
industry
it.
got, which has got tremendous potential is something that we invest. I'll like to. Do I have another few minutes that I can explain the use case?
Of course you can. Yeah, sure. Why not?
So a delivery platform called Big Basket in India. We don't have stake in the company, so I can speak freely about that particular company without any vested interest. Um, Registered 6x growth in 6 months. Now people are talking about what could have been achieved in 5 years being brought down to 5 months. That's
Yeah.
a tremendous shift. And especially when you're doing that, when you're registering 6x growth, be it Big Basket, be it Growers, be it any kind of aggregator of supply of goods as such, they are going to be looking at entire value chain from procurement to supply to logistics to ensuring that it's the return is there to ensuring safety of the right kind of stocking, stock that they need to maintain and so on and so forth. So the point I'm trying to make over here is having this particular good problem of money, it becomes imperative to see which company has actually said, okay, let me use the COVID to my advantage. The companies which say, I won't use, COVID has happened, it has taken the steam out of the business, is something that we try to either repivot or we see if there is inherent value in the company. So any company which is out there and says that, look, I'm going to use COVID-19 to my advantage, interests me as well as a family.
As a family investor. Fantastic. Thank you, Shrikant, for sharing that with the audience, because our audience are primarily founders and startups looking to reach out to investors like yourself. Thank you so much. Okay, Gary, over to you.
Sure. So, which particular point do you want me to address, Sonny?
So as as a start, manufacturing, supply chain, logistics was the one which affected after travel and tourism, I would say. So coming from you, like, what's the perspective? What are the trends? What are the perspectives and trends? And what do you see this space is heading towards in terms of investments? Like, do you see a lot of
Yeah.
investments?
So, I mean, so let's look at it. Let's paint the picture. So everything from toilet paper to electronics. I mean, this COVID has actually shown globally that we've got vulnerabilities. So again, it's, keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS principle. So if we look at it, let's look at some of the challenges that we've had. So a lot of it's because we have paper-based systems, right? We have not really digitized those systems. And that came out as part of the vulnerabilities that we've had. The other thing is we need to use what we've got. So as I said, machine learning and warehouse management, knowing exactly what product, what place, where that potential product is within the supply chain at any time. We need windows into where those products are. And then we need to have, in terms of vulnerabilities, we need to have multiple suppliers. This COVID situation, unfortunately, we've got another, couple years. If we look at the Spanish flu, it was about a 4-year situation, plus the economic impact. So that's not a bad thing. The difference is today we're going through the digital transformation, just like we're here on VCTV.
Right.
And I see your lovely smile every day. And
Thank
then let's look at what we have. We got autonomous vehicles, autonomous robots for logistics and shipping. We've got machine learning and predictive. We need to use more of what we got so we can really forecast what demand is. We've used archaic systems. I was involved in the original management team of Click Software. Click Software is a service chain optimization tool. So we need to be able to really forecast what demand will be and understand that we've got to be able to use our machine learning and predictive analytics for, that supplier relationship situation. It's windows into the opportunity. The problem we have for COVID, and it's being addressed, by the way, because the startups, I see them coming out every day from all over the world. The beauty of this situation, Sonny, is we've now democratized opportunities. So here we are, whether it's money from India or Russia or China or the US, or startups from many of those locations, we've now democratized the opportunity for them to get out, right? Because it's really leveled the playing field. So it doesn't matter where you are, it matters who you know, right? To be able to get to that environment. So from the front end of it to the back end of it. And, it's amazing here in the States, and I'm based out in Silicon Valley, but in the States, I mean, toilet paper. I don't know what it was like in Singapore. It's crazy, like toilet paper, like the simplest stuff, right? I don't know about you, but I stacked my garage full of toilet paper. I thought, I'm never going through this again. This is the last thing I'm going to be running out of is toilet paper.
I remember that early, like March, April time. I think in Asia, Singapore is the West in Asia, I would say. People use toilet paper, and we also had the same issue that like all the shelves, the supermarket just ran out of toilet papers, and people were hoarding toilet papers as if there was.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was going out. I bought towels. I went to a marine supply house and I bought towels because we couldn't buy paper towels. I bought a case of paper towels from a place that sells them for yachts, right? For putting on your yacht. And they were like some special kind of towel that would disintegrate. So it wouldn't screw. I didn't care what it was. I wanted my paper towels anyhow, and water. So these are like the basic but that showed our vulnerabilities. That shows us that we need to be able to take these incredible technologies and implement them. We need windows in the supply chain, not when it's going to come or if it's going to come, but exactly that time, that date, so we can plan. And then we've got to have flexible systems so we can go to multiple suppliers at any one time. I mean, it's critically important. Those kind of vulnerabilities we can't have. And look at, as we've, if we look at these cross-border transactions, I mean, it's from anywhere to anywhere at any time. And we need to understand that and just set the systems up. So what I believe is using artificial intelligence and machine learning to go out in that process. And of course, manufacturing, we've got the same kind of issues. We need to make it, we need to use our AL and ML and robotics to be able to help those manufacturing plants become updated. And it's happening today. So I hear about it a lot, cobots, all kinds of different ways, amazing different ways. CNC tools, it used to be if you wanted to build a counter top, you used to go out and you did it, a quartz countertop, you did it by hand. No, not anymore. So we get it right from the supplier to that particular designer, and they use a CNC tool to cut your entire countertop out, right? In minutes, right? It's not like it used to be, chiseling and everything else, cutting with a wet saw. So we need to use these technologies. We haven't done that before, but and I've written several articles about this in the digital transformation. We need to use what we've got, and what this has shown us that the opportunity is there, and we had better do it. It's not, are we going to do it in 10 years? A McKinsey study said 92% of the manufacturing companies are going through digital transformation within 10 years. It ain't going to happen anymore. We've got, in the last 8 months, we've had to step it up. It's not like there's a choice. Here we are in Zoom. If you would have told me a year ago, 2 years ago, that we'd be on Zoom talking to people all over the world every single day. Actually, I remember as one of the original Zoom users. And I remember that time when we set up, people said, oh, I'm not going to, what is this? Here we are. It's like Zoom is like Xerox now. If you're going to get online, it's not Skype or, Hangouts or whatever, it's Zoom.
Yes.
So we need to use the technology we have. It's great. We have this virtual economy that's been set up. And Sonny, not many companies have taken advantage of it, seriously. And you see by being on VCTV, they have not used what they have, right? It's incredible. It's like they're thinking about I remember reading an article about the beginning of the 20th century when they talk about cars. And I remember this one caption about a guy that said, why would I want an automobile? I have a horse. You know, I feed the horse. I hook the buggy up to the horse. The horse takes me where I want to go, and that's it. But
Yeah.
I mean, look at it. We can't rely on the past. We got to understand that we've got to innovate in all kinds of different ways in order to be more efficient and effective and get those products out. The right product at the right place at the right time.
Yes. In addition to that, Gary, I'd like to ask, like, when this government announced in, like, everybody has to wear masks and they have to sanitize their hands, and suddenly there were no hand sanitizers available in the shops, and there were no masks. And I've had instances people come over to me and saying, we're gonna sell the small bottle of hand sanitizer for excuse me, sorry, for like $100 nearly,
Yeah. And you were willing to buy it. That's the crazy thing. You started to think about it, right?
We were scared because we were scared. Like, the governments were saying, please wash your hand 5 times a day or 10 times a day, God knows how many times, and wear the mask. And the mask has to be proper mask. Don't wear any mask. You have to buy that sort of mask. And people were really generally scared and paranoid about the entire thing. But there was no solution. Everybody was panicking. So how do you think, if we had to face a similar situation in the future, do you think the startups are ready with the experience that they've gone through now, and with the right amount of tools and technologies?
I mean, I hope so. I mean, you look at the pictures of 1918 of the Spanish flu, you'll see it's similar situations. It's incredible, actually. I saw football games, soccer games with people with masks on. Uh, are we ready for it? I hope so. I mean, Sonny, let me tell you, COVID, so SARS, right? It's just COVID 2019. It's SARS. So,
Right.
but we've gone through this through humanity, the bubonic plague, the eruption in Mount Tambor, Indonesia in 1816, which had a profound impact. This is another, not a situation where we've had a virus, but this exploded. It changed the entire planet
Yeah.
because we did not have food, right? It became in summertime in New York City, it was winter. It created mass migration from Europe to the United States because they thought there was food and there wasn't. So this is not the first time, and it's not going to be the last. And let me tell you, COVID is not the worst thing we could have, really. You get
Right.
Ebola or something like that, that's a whole different deal. So what this is a warning sign that we better understand that we have vulnerabilities and we need to take them extremely seriously. The good news is humanity does react. The bad news is humanity does forget quickly. So, I mean, I can already see it. I don't know what it's like in Singapore now, but here, the bars, people are starting to crowd into bars. They're so sick of being locked into their houses. They're starting to go out again. And, now they're starting to tighten the restrictions up. But I mean, it's the behavior. It's like they've totally forgotten where they've come from. And I hope, so
Yeah.
answer to your question, the opportunity for this digital transformation is upon us. The smart startups around the world, and I talk to them every single day. I have one of the top global accelerators for AI personally that I started. I've started 2 other ones, and GSD. I see those companies coming out of the woodwork. The smart ones are coming forward. There are geniuses around the world, whether in Singapore, or India, or Bangladesh, or China, or the US, or Russia. They're there. The thing is, they've got to get that out because they're using algorithmic math and artificial intelligence in other ways. Apply it to supply chain, apply it to manufacturing, and do it now. Do it while you have that opportunity to dominate the market. It's fresh. It's huge. I told you there's 33 zettabytes of data in the world today. Every year it grows about 62%. That's enough data that if I stack DVDs on top of one another, go to the moon back and forth 23 times.
Totally.
Seriously. So we got the data out there. Use the great mathematicians of Singapore and India, Russia, Ukraine, wherever, and solve those kind of problems. It is important for humanity that we deal with data. It's all about the data. Think about it. The manufacturing dilemma, supply chain, is because we didn't have insight into the supply chain. Use it to do better forecasting. The problem is the supply chain from the time we get the product manufactured to the time you get it at your place, it's like a fractured system. It's not like a straight efficient system. It's one's
Yeah.
here, a lot of it's paper based. I'm bringing it over a boat. It's all based on paper, digitizes stuff, right?
Yes, correct. That's true. So these are some of the challenges that we saw, that we faced, especially during the lockdown with no travel, and country going into shutdown. I think Singapore is pretty much doing very okay in that sense. We do not have any further lockdowns, but our neighboring state, Malaysia, has. I was speaking with one of the investors, and he said that the country was forced lockdown. And similarly, UK, I hear that they've also going through another
Yeah,
lockdown.
I talked to somebody there yesterday. They've locked down. And the
Yes.
problem is this is just in my opinion, Gary's opinion, I believe we've got a year and a half to 2 more years minimum of moving forward through this. So it's not like when they say, oh, it'll be done in 2 weeks. It's like the checks in the mail. It's like,
Yes, absolutely.
not going to happen.
No.
Adapt to it and use it as an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yes, absolutely. And I think in Singapore, I think we all have some sort of immunity that we have built over these months. I think the cases are not growing. Like, we don't hear any alarming cases. Number of cases not going or rising up. So it's a good thing. Touch wood, everything is fine within the country. So yeah, so far so good. Hope it continues like this, and hope we can travel probably in another year or something and can meet each
Well, I
other.
mean, the problem is, but the challenge you have is if you're going to the UK, you can't. It's not about Singapore; it's about other places, right? Or you
Yeah.
going? I talk to people in India, right, every day actually, and I talk to them. I mean, one of my contacts there, one of the VCs, says that he hasn't been out of his house literally since the beginning of the lockdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Wow.
this guy's getting a little buggy, if you know what I mean. It's like
That's
he's
a
gonna
bit too much.
talk about being a little crazy from being locked up. But I mean, these are the realities of the situation, and we have to understand the good news about humanity does adapt, as I said. But now
Yeah.
we've got these technologies to be able to help it. Think about if we didn't have Zoom, right?
Oh my
Today,
God.
how much I actually wrote Eric a couple of weeks ago. I know him from a long time ago. Think about if we didn't have Zoom. Ah, by the way, he's worth $19 billion now.
Wow, 19
Billion.
billion. Wow. Million.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can you imagine? And
Amazing.
but think about what we've done. We've taken AI, we've been able to refine the signal. Look how good the signals are in Zoom compared to a lot of the other. And I'm not I don't own shares, just open it up. I don't have shares in Zoom. I'm just saying for what we have, it's a very quality project. But also look at 5G. 5G in manufacturing. I just had Samir Sharma, who's the
Yeah.
head of Intel's the general manager of Internet of Things and Smart Cities last week, and actually 2 weeks. Wait, how long was it? 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about how 5G is going to have an impact. Think about it. To have that kind of speed, I don't need to be tethered to any kind of a internet service today. I can just use 5G. Well, imagine what that has if I have sensors in a shop, right? And now I've got that 5G capability anywhere, and how transportable it is. These are the technologies. And now, companies like Apple are working on 6G. But think about, and Samsung, think about what that does to us. It untethers us. It gives
Yeah.
us freedom to be able to do things we've never done. Well, imagine what happens to the supply chain, being able to put sensors wherever you need at any time, at any place. So I'm crazy encouraged about the future. The thing is, we got to use what we have. It's pretty funny. Like I said, 5 years ago when I got on Zoom, people were like, why do I want to use this? I already am Skype. I got this. I said this, but this is a lot better. I don't know. Why do I want to have another system locked in? Why do I need a service? I said, because it's a lot better, and it was free at the time.
Yeah.
And finally, look, there's like 400 million active
Yeah.
users every day and growing. Schools are using it. So anyhow, use the technologies that we have. The startups need to understand that if they keep it simple, 5G, machine learning, anything with artificial intelligence, optimization algorithms, Internet of Things. I mean, you're going to win the race.
Yeah.
Dive in, and don't just say, "Well, I've got AI and it's simple algorithmic math." Make sure that you're doing, semi-supervised, unsupervised, uh, you know, machine learning and deep learning. I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, because you mentioned about Zoom, I just read like it was all over social media, especially on my Facebook feed. Zoom is now worth more than ExxonMobil, and founder Eric Yuan's net worth has nearly doubled in 3 months. So
Yeah,
that was,
I mean, I wrote him. I couldn't even, I wrote him 4 weeks ago when he was poor, probably $10 billion. It's, you know, I
crazy.
mean, think about it, Sonny. Think about it seriously. I was in the beginning of this. His VC. I've heard a lot of crazy stories in my life. I'm in Silicon Valley. I'm right down the street from Facebook. In the mornings when I go to some certain look, I don't want people to go there because I've said, but I go to some certain location. Tim Cook comes in after he works out, right? So I
Wow.
get to talk to a lot of interesting people. Zuckerberg, I see him at the Chinese restaurant uh, in
Yeah.
a certain location. They're around, and you get to talk to people. It's incredible. Imagine taking companies 5 years ago from nothing that people didn't even want to talk about to the point to where we are. But now with the digital transformation, I mean, they probably saved our business climate in the world. Just one person,
Right.
it's amazing.
It is
So
amazing.
we need to use the technologies that we have. The startups, we need to do a lot more and be more active in terms of curating them. And we're personally doing it. I'm involved in it as a VC. I'm involved as a venture studios to curate those companies from everywhere. I know you're going to be on my show in Bangladesh, the
Yeah.
Shark Tank meets Y Combinator
Yeah.
situation. But we need to curate these areas where there's incredible talent and bring it out because they don't have a voice. And that's one of the things you do here is you give a voice. And let me tell you, the startups are listening because I get the emails and I get the connections on LinkedIn. It's unbelievable. I mean, I don't know, 20 a day, 30 a day, something like that now.
Wow. That's like a huge number per
And we
day.
need platforms like this. We need the platform to be able to get the words out you know, and the real opportunities. When we did Click Software in the beginning, I'll never forget this. It was a company from Israel brought over to Campbell, California. The guy's a genius in algorithmic math, CEO of the company at the time. I was a senior vice president, brought it over. I changed the name of the company to Click Software. We came up with a family of products. People said it wouldn't work. Tiny, tiny company. We did an IPO on NASDAQ, sold for $1.35 billion. Seriously. It
Fantastic.
was nothing. It was a little tiny, tiny company. It means that there's an opportunity.
That's
If you
opportunity.
believe in you focus, you visualize, and you believe in it, you can actually accomplish it. Most of the startups I started the first accelerator in Russia and the number one private corporate accelerator. Every time I hear them, it's believing that you can go through it. And then if there's a challenge, figuring out a way around it.
Absolutely. Believe in yourself and figure out a way if you have a challenge. Very rightly said. Founders and startups for listening and sending Gary LinkedIn invites 20,
I
30
love it.
days.
Send me more. Yeah, we're curating those companies. By the way, Sonny, I have my show called Gary's Picks is sponsored by some of the top VCs in Silicon Valley, and I
Right.
do it. I just do it to help. But every 2 weeks, we highlight the top startup in the world, primarily AI startup, in front of a global audience. So my reach now in total is 900,000. So, I encourage them to come out. I mean, I'm not making anything on it. I'm doing it because it's the right thing to do
Yeah.
to help. So, I encourage them.
Of course, of course. So founders and startups, Gary is very much, and welcoming if you're reaching out to him either directly on his LinkedIn or through VCTV. As you can rightly see, he's always on VCTV, be it on my shows or Carl's shows. Thank you so much, Gary, for that.
Sure.
Shrikant, over to you. You had something one pager to share, or yes? So please let us know what's that you want to share with our audience today in the space. You are mute, Shrikant. We can't hear you. You're on mute.
I'm so sorry. Just give me one moment. I'm going to share that.
Yeah, we can see your screens now.
So you're able to see the investments that have happened in automotive, sensors, medical. But if you see, the world talks about how investments in automotive have come to a stall, and investments in tourism have come to a stall, and so on and so forth. Since we're talking about manufacturing, and since manufacturing is something which is quite close to me during my Daimler days.
In millions? Are you talking about millions here?
Yes, this is million, and if you see, this is 1.6 billion, which has come not in the previous year, not in 6 months, in the past 15 days.
That's crazy. That's really astounding. Amazing. Wow. Yeah, I saw the date. Jesus.
Yeah. And if you see, a lot of those investments have come in automotive. And if they have come in automotive, it naturally translates into investment in retooling and redesigning the basic structure. For example, something as simple as the car design has to be taken into mind when when you're selling post-COVID. Now, the question really arises in terms of our startups really, just adding on to what Gary was saying, are startups really geared for it? There can be a very pessimistic view that if you have not geared for it in the past 6 months, you never will. Yeah. And there's an optimistic view where, if you see this particular data and if you see that $1.6 billion have come in the past 15 days alone, it indicates a lot more investment in manufacturing. And by that, there's a trickle down to supply chain, there's a trickle down to logistics, because a car manufacturer is also going to take care of dealership is going to take care of end mile logistics, and so on and so forth. Now the question arises in terms of, has COVID made this particular pivot? So I'm going to stop sharing so that I'm going to send this across to you, Sonny,
so sure. Please do.
To the entire audience. So the point I'm trying to make over here is COVID was just an enabler.
Yeah.
There was an industry 4.0 which was going on, and I clearly remember last year around December, I was, just before the COVID hit us, I was in a family office conference where put together net worth of the people in that particular room would have been $100 billion, right? So the primary talk was on industry 4.0. How are you going to reskill and retool yourself for industry 4.0? And then COVID hit us. And COVID did not necessarily change the industry 4.0 outlook, but it made it made changes to the progress that we made on industry 4.0. So people had to go back to the drawing table. Not much, but they had to go back to the drawing table. And going back to the drawing table actually costs money. And going back to the drawing table, while the pessimistic view or the con of that is it costs money, the of that is you start investing in startups to actually accelerate that particular process. Now the question is, industry 4.0 was a 4-year process in India that is accelerated to a 6 months process.
Very good. Yeah.
In more and more startups, more and more people being, it's like you get a work done by one person, you get the work done in half the time by 2 people. Right. So the companies invest in a lot of adjacencies in that particular regard. Last week I was in conversation with a very popular tractor manufacturing company, and they were of the view that, look, I think we have manufactured tractors, it's doing quite well. As a matter of farming is doing quite well, which is resulting in tractor equipments being manufactured quite well. Millennials are getting into farming. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Now, they were seeing what would drive my EBITDA to go up by 10%. And the answer was my existing manufacturing setup is not going to do that. Probably I'll invest in a new platform or new sector per se. Now had this conversation happened in 2019, the conversation would have been around: can I invest in a Flipkart? Can I invest in Alibaba? Can I invest in something that comes out of drones in Israel and so on and so forth?
Right.
But those conversations are not happening. The conversation which is happening is completely different adjacency. People wouldn't have thought about timber. People wouldn't have thought about yes, AI, ML, all that is happening, but companies are venturing, or large businesses are venturing into completely different adjacencies, and that is a mindset change which has happened post COVID. And I think it's a great thing for startups, because companies are not getting siloed by technology, e-commerce, hyper local, blah blah blah, right?
Yeah,
There's
true.
an expansion in terms of view. Now there is a second area which is quite prospering, and which will result in the beauty of manufacturing is that acts as a mother for supply chain, transport, the allied sectors as such. Because once you consolidate the whole thing, you have delivered a customer experience, right from manufacturing up until supply chain. So imagine a world where Big Basket or Grofers or any of the aggregator platforms actually have their own store, which is exactly what is happening in India, and it's too large a too large an animal for us to ignore. Reliance is doing that. Manufacturing, retail, end mile delivery, right? And
Wow, I didn't know
what
that.
two of the world, right? I mean, Facebook has invested. You've got Mudabla investing, the Middle East participating, and so on and so forth. I think that would set a template for startups in terms of how to consolidate, and more than startups, that would set a template for investors to understand how to consolidate the investments that they have. So till now, investors typically thought that I have invested in A, which was into manufacturing, I have invested in B, which is into technology. They really didn't connect or have a marriage between the both of them.
Right.
Now the consolidation has to happen. Now, I'm also of the controversial view that the bad investors should just get out.
How do you define bad investors, and how do they look like? You have to define that now that you've said it.
can be easily found by the term sheets that they write.
Okay, got it. Sure.
COVID kind of, I think, without underestimating the loss of lives that have happened during COVID, God bless them. But COVID has brought in so much of change, a positive change, especially in the business mindset, which is quite encouraging for me, which is quite encouraging for families which are looking to. I mean, I used to be in a situation last year where the patriarch of the family used to say that I need to increase my wealth by about 10% this year. Now people are talking about, can I increase my wealth by 2x this year?
Right.
It's quite possible in the current setting of, I mean, that's where if you see the image which I presented, those large investments are coming in with a view that they can double the money in 4 years. They can double the money in 2 years, right? So that is where I'm seeing the startups. Now is the time. I mean, flush with money. Now is the time to actually start participating in large manufacturing capabilities. Now is the time to actually see adjacencies and not solve the COVID problem. I mean, if you are keeping on solving the COVID problem, it will get you nowhere. I think the problem that you need to solve is yes, COVID happened, done, dusted. Let's move on. What will happen? What will sustain? What will ensure that the next year, if God forbid something happens, how do you? So I think a lot of prudence is set in fiscal management. A lot of prudence is set in financial management. A lot of prudence is set in terms of investment and R&D. So there's no money to blow away, and the money which is being spent in the last 6 months. If you see as a CFO, I sit on the boards of many companies. The kind of budget decisions that have happened are all long term. They're not myopic in nature at all. So
Short-sighted.
this sounds like a good a thesis for me to make an investment in any country. It doesn't really have to be the beauty of having this particular crisis is that
Yeah.
you suffer, you don't say I'm suffering, you don't. The whole world is suffering, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
there is one unification factor in this particular crisis, that is COVID. So that's where I see startups. I'm supportive of the view that startups should also not reiterate the whole COVID saga again and again when they're making a pitch. But I'm also of the view that startups should actually look at not industry 4.0 alone, but industry start looking at ahead of industry 4.0. Start looking at how adjacencies can be created. Start looking at the bottom line and so on and so forth. So that's where I see. And one thing which I missed out is the governmental investment in manufacturing, in transport, in supply chain has hit an all-time high in the
Yes,
past 29 years of
yes,
liberalization.
everywhere. Yes, agreed, totally.
I think that's a fantastic, I mean, leverage on the government support as well.
Yes, why not? I mean, in Singapore, I think they were just giving grants in billions or millions. So I have to go back and tell you the right number. But yes, I'm the governments in all the countries just come together as one to, sort of counter this situation that everybody has to face. Like not only you and me, the entire world, as you rightly said. Great. I really love this session today. Just two minds, but so much of insights. And I love these kind of panels where like two people but very effective. Thank you so much, Shrikant and Gary. We just have a few more minutes to close the show. So, Shrikant, since this is your first VCTV Asia presence that you've just given today, what's the closing remarks and feedback about VCTV, please?
The closing remark is keep doing what you're doing. I mean, this is a fantastic opportunity for founders, startups to actually understand from the horse's mouth as to what is happening. With regard to startups, if you haven't woken up, till now, it's better that you sleep even further. If you've already woken up and you're making investments, now is the time to actually get your financial model right. Now is the time to actually showcase what delivery you will do on the EBITDA front. No, we are not. We as investors, we are not amazed by your amazing pitch deck anymore. We don't look at the optics anymore. We are looking at the hard data.
Right.
No extraordinary events per se. So get your basics right would be my feedback.
So
Thank you.
nothing sarcastic about it, Shrikant. I just want to add, because there was this startup founder, I guess, who reached out to me on LinkedIn saying hi. And I think I contacted him last year. I was in touch and I said, okay, what's happening with your fundraising? He said, it's actually, I've stopped fundraising. I'm looking post-COVID. I didn't say anything after that. I said, I'll just leave this person to his condition and let him contact me post-COVID. So as you rightly said, let them sleep and hibernate till they can wake up again. Thank you so much. And what's your feedback of VCTV, Shrikant?
VCTV, fantastic as usual. A first panel that I'm with you, Sonny. You have moderated really well. Top notch. I mean, what more do I say?
Thank you so much. 5 stars. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Gary, closing remarks for the show, please.
Yeah, no, it's great, Sonny. And I think it's more than 5. It's at least 6. Come on. Don't be shy.
Oh, it's 5. Okay, cool. I take it. Was it 10 out of 6 out of 10? Oh my God.
No. 10 out of 10. Come on. I was giving you a bonus point if it was 5.
Right. Got it. Thanks.
No, I think that this is the greatest time that humanity's experienced something that's really shocked us to the core. And this is the greatest time. This is like the beginning of the 20th century and the advent of electricity. And our society is changing that much. And so for the startups, they need to get in, dive in, don't talk about it, do it, move quickly. For the investors, don't sit on the sidelines, put your money out and invest. Talk to these companies all over the world and understand that we've now democratized opportunities. So I'm encouraged by it. I love seeing the startups. I'm seeing a lot more activity from the venture capitalists and not a lot more activity from family offices, and a lot of really cool startups from everywhere, whether it's Africa, India, Russia, the US, wherever, but they're coming out of the woodwork and I just love it. So VCTV rocks. You've done an incredible job of creating a network to be able to connect people together to keep things moving. And, you know, I applaud you for that. You do in fact, I'm going to give you a little applaud right here. Where is it? Right there. There.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
You do a great job. So if people want to reach me, they can reach me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Gary@gsdvs.com. I'd be happy to talk to them and share ideas and look at their projects.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gary and Shrikant. Thank you so much for your insights, feedback, and closing remarks. So startups and founders who were tuned in today, you heard it correctly. Please don't stop building. Please don't stop asking for help in terms of fundraising or mentoring, any help that you need. Please don't stop. That's what the summary was of the show. And investors, please invest. Don't just sit on sidelines, as Gary said. This is the right time. And we saw stats from Shrikant, like, oh my, most of the investments, like, Jesus, I mean, gone through the roof, actually. It was very surprising. I mean, nobody would thought, like, you know, during a pandemic or a crisis, the investments would rather shoot up, like the kind of figures that you showed us. So that shows us, please don't stop. Please go on. You can always reach out to Shrikant. You can always reach out to Gary directly through the LinkedIn handle, or you can contact us and we can always connect you with them. Thank you so much. And this is the end of the show. I just want to say, please stay safe because we would like to have you back on our show. And please, for the audience, keep watching VCTV and supporting us. Thank you so much. Take care and have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.